Hello, Martin here again. Welcome to another episode of Converting Larry the Landy into an Overland camper. Don't forget to subscribe down below so that you know when the next episode is coming out. What I'm going to talk today about is fitting of these caravan windows into the sides and into the front, and some of the challenges that I came across, particularly in putting on the sides. But let's start by looking at how you actually get a window in. So in preparation for before I put the windows in, as you can see, I've put red oxide on all the framing. I cleaned it all up with a rotary wire brush, got rid of all the rust, or as much rust as I could, and then I've done all the framing all the way around with the red oxide so that it's protected from the damp, and hopefully it won't go rusty very quickly. Also, what I did before putting the windows in was took a picture of each of the sides and the front and the back, and then put measurements in that's the distances between all the different structural members. This is really handy because later on, when it's all plied over, you don't know where those metal ribs are, and if you want to attach something to the wall, it's nice to be able to put in a self tapping screw into the metal rather than just through a flimsy bit of ply. So what I do is take pictures all the way around and do the measurements, then I've got that for the future when it's all hidden. What I'm going to do today is put the window in the sloping part of the Luton front in this plate that I've recently put in. So this is the window. It's one that I've salvaged out of the original build, and this is a Dometic Seitz S5 window. So basically what I've got to do is cut a hole that is the size of this inner frame, not like the last person did and did it to the size of the outer frame, to the inner frame. You then put sealant around all the way around there and push it in. Now at that point, in some windows, that's all you do. You just glue them literally in. But on the Dometic windows, they then have this inner frame which fits over the window. So it goes like that over it. But also, what I want to do is have that inner frame level with the insulation, because there's going to be 40mm insulation all the way around. So to do that, what I'm doing is taking up the space with this 40mm piece of framing all the way around, so that that will then sit at exactly the same height as the insulation. So first of all, what I've got to do is measure up the size of my hole on the inside. It's best to do it on the inside because that's where all the structural bits are that you want to miss, so that you make sure that you've got it right in the middle. So I'll do that and then we'll have a look at that. Okay, what I've done, I've marked up the center point, so that's the equal distance from one side to the other, and done a vertical line from that center point. And then I've measured a line that's the right width to this side and to this side. Now the window is 49.5 by 29.5. That's the size of the inner frame. So what I've done, I've measured 50 from there to there, and 30 from the top to the bottom. So those are my measurements that I've made. Now that it's just slightly bigger to allow for expansion of the metal, and so that the frame sits in easily. And what I've done, I've marked each corner with a white dot. So what I'm going to do now is center punch these 4 corners and drill the 4 holes. That then marks exactly the size of the frame. Then I can go on the outside and join up the dots and cut along those lines. So I'll drill those out now. I've now drilled the holes in the 4 corners, joined up the dots, and I've offered up the frame to it, and it's a perfect size. Now I've double, treble, quadruple checked the measurements before I drilled the holes, and I also measured from corner to corner in each direction, and they were identical, so that shows that the whole thing is square. I'm confident now that I can cut this out with an angle grinder with a thin blade, and that the frame will just drop in nicely. So hole cut out now, and let's see whether the frame goes in. Ta-da! Fits nicely. From the inside you can see that there's just a little bit of play, and that's to allow for the expansion of this, and it won't press on the frame. The sealant will take up that extra bit of space. What I need to do now is put sealant in the angle all the way around, and then a thin bead just on the very edge here. And there should be a rubber seal around here, but that's missing, but I wouldn't trust it anyway. I would just put a thin seal for the final sealing. So the bit in the angle there fills the gap between the hole and the frame, and this bit just keeps the rain out all the way around. Now what I'm using is this stuff from Screwfix, which is sticks like SH star T, whatever valve you want in the middle there. Now people will say, oh, you need to use Sikaflex, or other people swear by Tiger Seal or CT1. This is about half the price, and I think it does the same job. You'll get people that tell you, oh, I've managed to stick a Sherman tank on the side of the house and it's been there for 50 years with Sikaflex. Well, you know, do you really need it? This does the job, and it's much cheaper. So this is what I use. This is clear. I mean, you can get it in white and black as well, but this happens to be clear. So I'm going to put that sealant on there now. So there's a generous amount of sealant in the angle there, and then a thinner bead along the edge here. And when that goes up against the aluminium on the outside, nice watertight seal will be made. So I'll just drop that in, and then we'll go from there. Got the inner frame now, and I've got to screw that into the outer frame, but sandwiched in between has got to be the wood. Okay, so it's all tightened up. I've got it on a fairly low torque so I don't break the plastic here, but what it should have done is squeezed the two frames together via the wood, so that I'll now squeeze some sealant out the outside that I can now clean off. But that gives it a good, nice weatherproof seal. The insulation will sit here and will be at the same level as this wood here, and then when I do the ply all the way around, it will just ply up to the frame. So I've trimmed off the excess sealant that's squeezed out with my trusty knife here that I've had for probably 50 years or so, but that's really good for clearing it nice and neatly. I use this for taking off gaskets and all sorts, but there we are. I've put an extra little bead along the top here, just a double, triple waterproof it, but other than that it all went round nicely. So that's all sealed in now, and tomorrow it's going to chuck it down with rain, so we'll see whether it holds up to the weather or not. Now, I said that there was a slight problem with the side windows that I've not had with the front windows, and the problem is that the bottom of this inner frame here is overlapping the metal cross member, but at the top it misses it. Now you think, well, why don't you just make sure that when you did the window you moved it up a bit so that it fitted between? But let me show you the problem that I had on the outside. If I'd moved the window up, then the top of the outer frame would have gone over the aluminium bar that's at the top there. It would have been too far up, and so then you wouldn't have had a flat surface to put the window on. So I had to have it drop down so that this window fits on a flat surface, which is the important thing, because you want it to be nice and weatherproof. So you don't want an undulation that you've got to fill in, and it's always going to be prone to rain. So I had to drop it down. So that meant that I had to make up the difference on the inside. In the end, therefore, I had to put in quite large pieces of wood to take it out beyond the cross member. Now, the other problem is that the cross member sticks out a certain distance at the bottom, but not as much at the top. So I had to make it square, I had to make the wood the right distance, so it sticks out more there than it does there. But I don't think that will matter once it's all plied. You know, when you've got the insulation taking up a load and it's plied over, I'll have to fiddle it about so that it doesn't look as though the window is tipping. So there we are. That's 3 windows put in. Recycled the windows that came with the van, so I'm quite pleased that I saved some money there. Just got to sort out at the back here what I'm going to do with this window. There's a bit of work that I've got to do on the steel here to reinforce it, and then probably put in a window that just sticks on the outside. So that is probably what I'm going to do next.